Welcome to TimeOut, everybody. I got Coach Zy, Dr. Pepper, Big Trev, and on the audio, once again, Hibby. What's up? So
Yes,
we're
sir.
gonna get
What's
into
going on,
this.
Jake?
Oh my God! All right. So we're gonna get right into this. LeBron James just recently uh, self-proclaimed himself as the greatest of all time, just because he beat the three or came over a 3-1 deficit against the 73-9 Warriors. So Hibby, we'll start with you on this one.
All right, perfect. I'm going to expand on what I said earlier. And I'm not a huge LeBron fan as it is. I never was since he went to Miami and took his talents down South Beach. That being said, there's a lot of fans out there that don't really know a whole lot about the game. So what they do is they look at the numbers and try to number crunch. Well, that's like comparing apples to oranges because today the game is all about entertainment. It's all about offense. People want to see a three, and the referees they're not allowed to call. I mean the like defense. You're not going to get away with hand checks anymore. You're not going to get away with weak side elbows. If you breathe on somebody, it's a flagrant one. With that being said, I mean it's impossible to play defense. So that's just correlation to teams scoring 120 points in the finals game. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to see 125 to 115 in a final game. I remember watching the '04 Pistons when you could actually play defense against someone's shorts. It was hard to crack 90 points on the '04 Pistons because that was actual basketball, physicality at its prime. So getting back to my point, LeBron is obviously going to pass MJ in points, probably assists, rebounds, because he's going to play more years. One, two, it's because I mean they're scoring 120 points a game, whereas when MJ was playing, if you were cracking 100, that was great. So I think at the prime and at their peaks, MJ is no doubt the GOAT, the greatest of all time. LeBron, I'll give him top five, like I said earlier. But LeBron at his peak, at his prime, is not better than MJ's. That's my take on that.
I'm with you, Hibby. And something else I will point out though is that it is tough to compare people from different eras only because, like you said, the style of play. Like you said, if you score 100 points, you must be chucking a lot of threes or there's terrible defense. But now, if you don't score 100 points, you suck. But,
MJ would have adapted his game to today's game and expanded his three-point shot because he was more of a mid-range shooter and not an exceptional three-point shooter. But we saw LeBron when he entered the league; he wasn't an exceptional three-point shooter either. But now he's pretty respectable because he worked on it and he adapted to the NBA game. And I think that's what MJ would have done as well.
I agree. I mean, again, it's tough to compare eras, but, I'd take Michael Jordan any day. LeBron James, again, respect to him. He'd be in my top five, actually top four, along with Kobe Bryant and, to me, Shaq. But, that's for another time. But LeBron, you can't proclaim yourself to be the greatest player of all time. It's got to be given to you by somebody else or everybody else. So that's just me on that. You can't say it yourself, and it's kind of tough to compare the eras.
Go ahead. Somebody else go.
I'll go. Um, every time I talk about this, it usually gets pretty heated, mainly because I have a lot of friends who are LeBron fans. I don't think LeBron has separated himself like he proclaims. The comments that he stated, coming back from the Warriors 3-1. It's tough. I think LeBron's a great player, and I think, if he does something like lead the Lakers this year to a national championship, I think, we can start to humble ourselves and be like, okay, he's up there. I still think the race between Jordan and LeBron is pretty far apart. I know a lot of people compare stats. I agree with what everybody said on that. It's a different era. It's a different time. You can't compare things when Michael Jordan, during his time of play, the game was different. The athletes were different. Just like, this game, I mean, LeBron is a physical specimen, and yes, there's great athletes playing in the NBA right now, but he's able to dominate without, God-given talent. He was able to dominate. I think Jordan had to work for his a lot. I think he was really creative. His offensive game was creative. The thing that puts MJ ahead of Jordan for me, or ahead of LeBron for me, is Stephen A. Smith kind of brought this up one time, and I love what he said. Usually I don't agree with Stephen A. that much. What he said about the Jordan and LeBron debate, I agree with 110%, and that comes down to heart. Jordan played through, his reference was when he played the Knicks, he went out with an ankle injury. A rolled ankle nowadays, people are, athletes are sitting out 2 to 3 weeks, month at minimum. Jordan rolled his ankle so severely he could barely walk, and he came back in and he basically told Phil, listen, I'm getting back on the court. It doesn't matter what you say. That's what's going to happen. And, we've seen the flu game, things like that. I think that's what separates Michael Jordan from LeBron James. It's just the fact that he's got the heart and he's going to go get it no matter what. And not taking anything away from LeBron, but we've seen it. We've seen, a guy his size going to the lane, gets, his hair brushed, and he's over here complaining for a foul and throwing his hands up. I know that's the way the NBA has come to this day, but I don't like it. And I don't think you've ever seen that out of Michael Jordan. So I think, it's hard to compare, but Michael Jordan right now, for me, is up here in the GOAT race, the greatest of all time, whereas LeBron's here. I still think LeBron's got a couple years left in his career. If he wins another couple championships, like I said, if LeBron goes out and he takes the Lakers and wins an NBA championship this year, that's something that you could say, okay, wow, this guy is really affecting no matter where he goes, no matter who he's playing with, he can win. And I think if he does something like that, then we can come back to this. We can start talking about, is LeBron starting to finally surpass Michael Jordan in the greatest of all time debate. But for me, it's going to be MJ here. We'll see what happens until LeBron retires. But I'm Michael Jordan 2-3 till we see something better.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys been saying. I'm Michael Jordan. I'm signed with him too. Like LeBron, I didn't really. Michael Jordan was wrapping up his career, when I was just a really young kid, so I didn't really get to see much. But what I've seen from highlights and, on YouTube and stuff, and what people have talked about, and, just looking over at his career, winning 6 championships. And I know he had, a lot, some great teammates, and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and stuff. But, I mean, like you think about LeBron, I mean, yeah, like Trav was saying, like his physical abilities and how he's built, is crazy. He could be playing in the NFL right now at linebacker, tight end, and he honestly, if he wanted to, I feel like he could score every time down the court. And me and Coach I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Like we feel like LeBron just sometimes just takes it off. Like every night he can go for, he can not, get the ball every possession and score, But he's starting to take a lot more games off, just because he can. And I mean, he still has great numbers, but I think one point we gotta look at too is, LeBron went to Miami, teamed up with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and that first time they got to the finals, they lost to the Mavs, Dirk and the Mavs, and I think that kind of takes a hit on him. Yeah, he still won, he's won 3, I'm not taking anything away from him meeting the Warriors. That was insane, but I mean, I think when we're talking about the GOAT, it comes down to winning in crunch time, and, Jordan's has that, has a meat on that, and I think for sure he's going to win in LA. Just being in LA, he's going to attract some superstars. They're not going to win it this year, but I say, next year, maybe 2 years down the line, they're going to win it. But I still got Michael Jordan over LeBron.
I think it really comes down to what we're talking about, and I talked about this in my video. We're talking about the best all-around basketball player, and that's LeBron. And when you're talking about closers, competitors, other guys are ahead of LeBron. I mean, I wouldn't know if I'd put LeBron in my top three when it comes to that. But when you talk about passing, defense, being your team's competitive every year, scoring, the impact you have on each individual game, LeBron's better than everybody. And he talks about how he that proclaimed that in the Warriors. A lot of people would say that the Golden State Warriors are going to have an argument to be one of the best teams of all time. And so I don't know if that would be the spot. So maybe you could argue that a little bit. But he just he's an animal. He plays basically every night. We're seeing now he's going to miss the most games in his career, and it's only going to be a couple weeks. But so he's always healthy. He's never really had a bad season, even since was a rookie. His team is always one of the teams you talk about winning a championship. Doesn't matter who he's playing against. Do I agree with the era a little bit? But you could also counter argument that and say, sure, Hibby talked about the 2004 Pistons, but 2004 Pistons have guys like Ben Wallace that can't make a shot. You don't see that much in today's game anymore. Like when the Warriors are at their best, they got 5 guys on the floor that are capable of making a shot. So it's different now. The game is much more stretched out. There's a lot more people that are capable of scoring. I think back in the 80s and even in the 90s, early 2000s, you had a lot more people that were defined to their role. And now people's roles are catch and shoot. Let your superstars do their thing, and then everybody else is a catch and shoot player. You still got a couple guys that are rebounders, stuff like that, but it used to be the 5 and the 4 were screener and rebounders. Well, now it's just the 5. Everybody's forward pretty much can shoot the ball now. So I think there are different takes on that. I agree that the game is faster, stuff like that, but I also think that you got to give LeBron some credit for that. It doesn't matter where he's been. He's just went and been able to make him competitive. I think people thought, let's see what he does with the Lakers this year. And, as long as he can come back and stay healthy, I think they got a chance to be a top 3 seed. So he does great things. He's made the NBA Finals. I mean, I don't even know how many years in a row. It's a ton. And he just last year was probably the one year they got wiped off the court. It wasn't competitive, but, we can talk about if J.R. Smith is an idiot. Like, that series could have been a lot different. So I just think when you talk about all-around player, LeBron is going to be and is right now probably the best of all time. But if we're talking about competitive, the guy I want to take the last shot, the most clutch, different argument. But best all-around player, LeBron James.
So what go ahead, Justin. Go ahead. Sorry.
The different eras, and like I was saying, how it's positionless basketball, I think it makes it easier for LeBron, and here's why. When you have a court full of shooters, that opens the lane up so much for you that driving lanes, you can get in there at will. And when you don't have those big power forwards or big centers like back in 2004, the late 90s, you don't have guys when you go in there to alter your shot. So like when LeBron is putting up these crazy numbers, sometimes Draymond Green is a 5 and he's 6'8". So LeBron, he can just shoot over anybody he wants. But like if you're playing back in the late 90s and like more traditional roles where your 4-man is about 6'9", 6'10", and the center is at least 7 feet tall, you're going to go in there, one, the lane's going to be clogged up because, yes, obviously the shooting wasn't as great, so they're going to be around the basket. And two, I mean, you're going to have to maneuver around them. I mean, you're not just going to be able to score over a 7-footer and a 6'10" guy repeatedly. Like LeBron, most times now, he's the biggest guy in the court. So I think that's another thing in a different aspect you have to look at as well is the era of positionless basketball.
Let me counter, Trav. I'll let you go.
Yep.
I look at that, though, vice versa, though. If LeBron played in the 90s, what happens when you set a ball screen with a big dude? He's not going to be able to switch and guard him. I mean, he's going to blow right by that guy. So I think you can look at it both ways. Like, sure, would it be tougher for LeBron? He'd have to do some things, but then at the end of the day, those big dudes would have to guard LeBron, and there's not a chance some of those guys could guard LeBron.
Well, I think now it's transitioning to, okay, you need athletic bigs that can guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5, so you switch everything. Where that wasn't always the case back then. You didn't always switch your bigs, either soft hedge or hard hedge, depending on the scouting report, but it always wasn't just a switch.
I mean, I agree, but I think LeBron would tear some of those guys up.
And I think, like, the whole thing of all-around player, I think LeBron's defense is extremely overrated. Like, if I'm talking about a better defender, like, I want a lockdown guy, Michael Jordan is a better defender than LeBron James.
Maybe on the ball, but team defender, not even close. LeBron might be one of the best team defenders I've ever seen.
I mean, how can you really play team defense in the NBA when you're on the weak side? You got to hug your man. You can't be in the lane.
You just pick a couple highlight reel blocks, and then everyone that's all they watch of him blocking Andre Iguodala. But you probably can go throughout the film the whole entire game of him chilling on the backside.
I mean, last year against the Pacers in the playoffs, he didn't even get back on defense, and they gave up a 3 because of that. 5-on-4.
I'm sure if we watch everybody's highlights, we can pick out a few plays here and there where somebody was being lazy, especially when you're the man on offense. And I'm not going to dog him about last year because last year he backpacked that team to get to the finals. I mean, there was games he was going for 45 to carry them to get to the finals, and he needed every ounce of that gas tank to get there. So, but on the ball, maybe. I'd probably take Jordan Kobe over him, but I'm talking about all-around defender. He's a great team defender. He gets steals. He gets blocks. He's always communicating. So, team defender, I don't even think it's close.
Here was a point I was going to make, though, is that back in Jordan's era, we seen more than just man-to-man defense. You know, back then the coaching was a lot more in-depth. We've seen teams go zone. We've seen teams, when was the last time we've seen a full-court press out of an NBA team? Stuff like that. I mean, it's just a man-to-man. Like, someone might pick up full court, but if we ever seen a zone press, have we ever seen zone, so I see what you're saying, Ryan, and that's where this GOAT argument gets skewed a little bit, is because are you putting it on stats? Is the GOAT based on stats? Are we looking at numbers? Are we looking at, the scoring, all-around player? Are we putting in that heart, the heart aspect of it and the go-get-it aspect? Because another point I was going to make was that Jordan was loyal to the Bulls his entire career. It didn't matter who was on that team. Whereas I think LeBron you can kind of see it. He's moved around, and he's made it clear that he wants to play with other superstars. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was in the NBA, I would want to play with other great players too. But Michael Jordan, he walked in, I think Kobe was the same way. Those were type of guys that they walked into the practice facility. They walked into the arena every night, and it didn't matter who was on the court. They had a job to go do, and that's like that competitive level. So it's hard to say who's the GOAT, because what are we basing that off of? If you base it off stats, yes, probably LeBron is the GOAT. If you base it off, the all-around aspect of basketball, like I said, it's got to be Jordan. If you put in every aspect of basketball and the work it takes and stuff, like, can you imagine Michael Jordan and LeBron's frame back in his day, or even today's game? Could you just, what I mean? Could you imagine? I know it's something that's never going to happen. Humans have evolved athletically. I get it, but same. I always say, if you're gonna compare something, let it be the same. Let them be the same height. Let them be the same weight. Obviously, we can't do that because we can't, alter physical shape. But same era of basketball. That's how you can compare. It's hard to compare different time zones. It really is, and it's hard to say when nobody has come out and said the GOAT is based off this. This argument's going to last forever.
Yeah, Trav, I think one thing that we need to base it off of is rings. So I think before we wrap it up, I want to ask all you guys a question. If you flip-flop these two and you put LeBron back in the 90s on the Bulls team, does he get 6 rings?
It's tough. He'd get at least 3.
So I think right there, that just says who the GOAT is. What do the rest of you guys think? How many rings does he get?
I mean, I agree with that, but then you could say, same thing. If you switch Jordan and LeBron to when LeBron was down 3-1 to the Warriors, can Michael Jordan pull that from his hat and come back and beat the Warriors?
See, my personal opinion, when LeBron was saying in Miami, not 5, not 6, not 7, I really do believe that MJ would have accomplished that until this Warriors team and Kevin Durant would have formed. Who knows if that would have even happened if LeBron would have been winning all these championships, but in Miami. But I really think that MJ would have had 6 or 7 rings in Miami.
I think he'd have had at least 3.
It's a fair argument to make. Well, I don't think Michael Jordan never played with talent like LeBron has played with. You can argue, Dennis Rodman, Scotty, those type of guys. None of them were really all-star caliber players. If you would have paired Michael and Larry Bird or, guys like Hakeem, that was the other thing, is that Michael Jordan never really had a true big man. He was a great pick and roll guy, and he never had a true big man to run it with. So could you imagine Michael Jordan playing the game of basketball with Shaq? That's something we've seen Kobe dominate because of it. And can you imagine back in that time zone, Michael Jordan and Shaq running the pick and roll? It's almost unstoppable. So no, I get what you're saying though, Justin. That's it. Like I said, it's always going to be a debate because of those reasons.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. LeBron is a great player. Like I said, top 5. But when you're comparing him to MJ, when it's really close, that blemish of Dallas, and I think it's even a blemish losing to San Antonio and Miami, I think that's always going to come up. Even though San Antonio was great, I just don't think LeBron in his prime, with one of the best shooting guards of all time and one of the best power forward / centers in the game at that time, has no excuse to lose.
I agree. It's a tough debate to do, but I agree. It's always tough.
Agree. He shouldn't have lost to Dallas. Now, I don't think Dirk, and that team gets enough credit. Dirk played one of the best series we're going to see in a long time. Jason Terry, was played out of his mind. I can remember Jason Terry telling a story about Dwayne Wade hits a corner 3, puts the Heat up like 19, and Jason Terry and Dwayne Wade's walking through the huddle saying, "Hey, it's over." And that's kind of what Jason Terry got in the huddle and said, "Hey, it's done. Watch this. We're shutting it down." So, a little bit, but they shouldn't have lost that series. San Antonio, I don't think you can blemish somebody's career for losing them because, you want to talk about LeBron having 3 superstars, between Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan, they have 3 Hall of Famers on that team right there. So, those were always battles. But I don't think LeBron's done yet. And, so I agree with Trav. I think, if he can win with LA, I think the argument's over. I don't even think it's an argument. Where, I do think of LeBron, if you switch LeBron, Jordan, LeBron minimally wins 4. I don't think you can ever guarantee he's going to win all 6. You could debate that all night. But, you look at, Jordan, beating the Jazz, there's nobody on that Utah Jazz team that could guard LeBron. So, it's different. It's hard to debate that. It's going to be all opinion-based. But, the thing is when people say, hey, Jordan would be doing crazy things too, I agree with that. But at the end of the day, when you look at LeBron's numbers, they're wild. He does it year in and year out. And I think that sometimes he's so good that he gets blamed for it's almost people he's just chilling. But when we say he's just chilling, he's still going for 27, 8, and 9. When you think about to do that every night is crazy. It's he's so consistent. His numbers don't really change. He's gotten better probably throughout his career, and that I think that is crazy to me. And I think that sometimes we hold him to the standard of you should be going for 50 every night. Well, that's tough to do. And there's been some years where he's played with some bad teammates. But he needs, I think, to really stamp it for him to be able to call himself, because I agree with Jake in that you shouldn't call yourself, is if he can win in LA. And especially if he doesn't add 2, 3, 4 superstars, maybe add 1 more superstar and go with that young talent, then I don't think it's an argument, because then he's went everywhere, he's dominated everywhere, and he's probably going against one of the best top 5 teams of all time in the Warriors. And now you got rumors that Cousins might stay. They're trying to trade for Anthony Davis. Who knows what's going to happen? So it's going to be really interesting to see. But he just does it. When you talk about Jordan competed every night. I agree with that. But when you say he didn't give up on the Bulls, I don't know if I can agree with that, because he left to go play baseball. He almost said hey, I'm too good for this, and he went and played baseball. And I came back and won 3. That's awesome. But you can't discredit LeBron for doing it every year of his career. He's not going to leave. I mean, he's going to do it every year, and his team every year is going to be a championship contender.
I do agree.
Another thing too is they're down 3-1, and this is why I think it's a little rigged. Draymond gets suspended for a game.
That was bogus.
I think that happens in a game 6. There's no way the NBA is going to suspend him for a game. There's no way it's happening. And another thing you have to look at too is I'm drawing a blank. What was their center's name that got hurt with that knee injury?
Zaza Pachulia?
No, not Zaza.
David Lee.
I don't know who would be the center.
He's a foreigner. Got drafted by the Bucks. Number 1, I think.
Oh. I can't think of his name, but yeah, go on.
I don't know who you're talking about.
He was extremely pivotal, great screener. And like I said earlier, he was a great rim protector where LeBron, like, when he went in there, he altered his shot. And, like, if the Warriors if they had him and Draymond all 7 games, I don't think LeBron comes back 3-1.
Well, my thing about Draymond is that I think Draymond gets his technical because he gets frustrated because of the way LeBron's playing. But that's on Draymond. Like, you can't discredit LeBron because Draymond made a dumb mistake. Like, and then, injuries, but injuries happen all the time. Like, that would be like me saying, well, LeBron would have been more competitive in this series if Kyrie would have stayed healthy. Like, it has happened both ways. I mean, the Warriors had a couple years where they were getting to the finals, and every team they were playing in the West, one of the superstars was injured.
It's tough.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's tough. It really is. Between these two, we all got our views, stats, eras, whatnot. But I agree with you, Zai, to finish this off, that if LeBron James can win with the Los Angeles Lakers and beat that Warriors team, maybe not once but twice, possibly this year, but if he does it more than once, it's over. It's over. But yeah, that one, great debate topic for us all, and that'll wrap this one up. And next we'll get into Urban Meyer.